Hello, it's Vol here, and I just wanted to do a bit of an overview on War Machine and Hordes tournament that I went to a couple of weekends ago in Wellington. It was called Valleycon. It's the second time that I've attended Valleycon, and it's the second time that they've imposed a tier-only restriction on the army list for the tournament. So that means you must take an army list that adheres to a tier, whether it's tier 1 or tier 4, doesn't matter, must be a tier army. So straight away, absolutely hate that restriction. Shouldn't be in War Machine and Hordes at all. It does not help the game. It actually undermines the best thing about the game, which is the level playing field. It means that some casters, really, you just can't play them, and other casters have an unfair advantage because they'll be playing their tier list anyway. You know, casters like Epic Lilith, Morton Nebra, Epic Kaya, you'll see those a lot more often. Now, my lists for the weekend, I'm playing Protectorate of Menoth. 47 points it is, without reinforcements, and it's Steamroller 2013. I've gone with Kreoss 2, that's Epic Kreoss, not the guy on the horse, but the guy with the big spear. And my alternative list was going to be Epic Fiora and 2 Judicators. And I practiced that for quite a while because I painted up both of my Judicators, but it wasn't working out, so I actually ended up taking Epic Severius and 1 Judicator, and that list is purely to help me deal with Epic Lilith, which I expected to face, who I felt would really hurt me as Kreoss here. So just going to whip through it without doing too much detail into this. First game was up against Wrack with his Epic Kaya list, and scenario here, obviously the central zone with the 4 monoliths. Now, absolutely stuffed this game up because both of us at the time thought that the spell Sacrosanct in Kreoss's list, spell list, causes enemy models to be knocked down when they kill your guys with Sacrosanct on them as the upkeep, and we thought that included War Beasts and Warjacks when it doesn't. It only includes warrior models. So, of course, he was attacking my Errants with his beasts and getting knocked down. That was completely false for the whole game. We talked about it afterwards, and really there weren't too many hard feelings here. Obviously, it was stupid of me not to have realised that, but this was such a terrible matchup for him even without his heavies being knocked down. It would have been a better game if his heavies had not been knocked down, but that's just the way of it. So, I mean, what happens, obviously, is that he just gets steamrolled, and I felt really bad about that afterwards, but, having looked at the lists and the scenario, what would have happened is that ultimately he would have had to commit some of his beasts inside this zone at some stage. I would have been able to feat and automatically hit him anyway, just as though he'd been knocked down, and he would have just been crushed. So, didn't really think that I was going to lose that, but yeah, it was just a bit stink that we didn't get to play a decent game out of it. So going on to the second game, I was up against Chris Ford, who I've played a number of times before at tournaments. A number of times, I think it's twice. Usually plays as Retribution, but he's playing Scorn. And again, Retribution armies just get totally shafted by this format because they don't have any good tier lists. Again, I'm playing Epic Kreoss. He's got Rasheth with his multiple Titan list, and I knew that this would be a good matchup for me because by the time I got into position to feat, it would only require a few of my models to wreck his beast because of the Weapon Master power there. So what ends up happening is that he came forward, and I didn't really play very well in the first couple of turns because he managed to get a lot of Breath of Corruption and Cannoneer shots off of me, killed quite a lot of infantry, and then when he feated I had to wait a whole a further turn to get in there and crush his war beasts, and Gators are cutting me up left and right. But eventually we get into a position where he's got all of his beasts in the centre, some of them are going to frenzy against each other, and there's one point where he sent one of his gladiators behind my lines next to Kreoss, and actually allows me to charge Kreoss along the wall without crossing it, and do a obviously arm-piercing attack against him and wipe him out, and then feat and just crush all of the other elephants at the same time. So killed all 4 of his heavies in one turn. Some of them were already badly damaged, but when you get to a situation like this, it's very difficult to lose. And of course, even though Rasheth brought it down to just a few models left, I was in a position where I was camping everything, dominating my flag every single time, and he just couldn't really get over there. So there was a brief painting competition featuring the best warrior model that you were able to field in your list, and each of us, or some of us, put forth a model for that. Dan Conlon brought along the new Epic Virus model, which I thought was very good, and Dan has done a great job at painting him, so you can see him there. And onto the next game. This was the only game of the tournament that I played the Judicator list, and here you guys see what I've got. It's got Hierarch Severius with Avatar and the Judicator and the Vengers. And what I really wanted to do here is find myself in a situation against Legion, like I am here, and use the feat on something like Raptors, but he doesn't have Raptors in this case, he's just got Callus. His other list was Epic Veil, and I thought I'd be okay against Epic Veil because I could hide behind the Judicator, but yeah, it's a bit of a tough matchup this, but sort of 50-50 really, given the fact that I haven't gone Kreoss. In fact, I should have gone Kreoss, but I really wanted to play the Judicator at least once, so here we are. So he's got Callus with a lot of Legionnaires and so on, and 2 Ravagors, so it's going to be a bit nasty. And we're playing the scenario with the large circle and the small flag. So after he moves forward with a lot of his infantry, I see an opportunity to put Holy Ward up on the Vengers and attack on the right-hand flank after putting Fear of God on his Legionnaires or the Swordsman. I can't quite remember, but Fear of God is a great spell in this situation because it stops them charging, and my Vengers are going to have quite high armor, so they're going to be able to hold that right-hand flank of the flag for a while. And on my left-hand flank, I can actually bring his sword guys over and then kill them with the Avatar. Now, he's charged my Judicator with his Scythian and with some of his men, but hasn't quite managed to kill it, so it gives me an opportunity to fight back in the next turn. And what happens here is the Avatar goes across and wipes out the Scythian, giving me an opportunity to keep landing more templates and sprays, which is done very, very well. Severius even has the option of awareness, although I very rarely take that. You can actually see in one photo here that my Judicator is very, very badly damaged. And in the next turn, obviously, the Judicator is actually wiped out. But I'm in a position where he's got very few guys left. I've actually wiped out all of his beasts except for a Shredder, I think it is. And it makes it harder for him to keep up his focus, whereas Sevi just gets 8 every turn plus the rack. So not feeling too bad about the situation, but losing guys left and right. The Avatar's gone now, and it becomes a really tough situation where Sevi had to hide behind the forest to avoid being charged, and now Callus has gone into the zone. So it's a matter of putting holy water on himself and just camping all of his focus. And it came down to me actually throwing Severius right in front of Callus and saying, well, try and kill me, and Callus just couldn't do the job. So the Creator's Wrath went up, and I actually started smashing him. And you can see a dice roll here on one of my damage rolls that I just absolutely smashed him and killed him. So that was awesome, winning with Severius in close combat against Callus. That was one of the moments of the tournament, I felt. So next photo, back to Kreoss again, because I have to face my main rival here, Chris Baker, who is actually playing Krix, although we all expect him to be going back to Signar because he went for a year without playing his main faction. Now he's lifted that sanction upon himself, but he's playing Krix, which I felt a bit of a dirty choice considering that it's a tiers tournament. Krix have the best tiers, but why not, right? I mean, if I had access to an army like that, I'd probably play Krix. Well, I mean, I don't think I would, but I can't blame anybody from playing Krix. I mean, if you want to win the tournament, that's what you do. And I'm up against one of the hardest armies you can really face in a tier situation, just mass Bane Thralls, Bane Knights, and Epic Gatsby, Lich Lord Asphyxius, so this was going to be very tough. But what ends up happening is for the first couple of turns, we're both sort of not wanting to move into each other's threat ranges. I made a mistake by losing one of my Knights Exemplar Seneschals very early, so it sort of put me on the back foot a little bit. And eventually we get into a situation where we're both moving forward a little bit. There are opportunities to kill the flags and move over there, but he triggers Vengeance, and I sent in the Fire of the Salvation with the Vengeance move off to kill Tartarus. And I don't mind swapping a 9-point model for his 4 or 5-point model there, because Tartarus's presence on the field is absolutely catastrophic for me, but the Jack isn't really going to help me out very much because he's just going to be fighting infantry the whole game. It's only going to take three Bane Thralls to smash him up anyway, so I didn't really care about losing him. But what I want to do is get into a position where he's attacking me with Bane Thralls and Bane Knights and needing 6s or 7s to hit rather than 5s. So if I can do that, then it might save some lives. Unfortunately, he actually Dark Industried my Jack and brought up a Harrow, which was terrible, but I didn't really care about the Harrow at that point. What was happening later on is that I was losing heavily on the left flank, but actually gaining a lot of leverage on the right-hand flank, so I moved up and feeded, killed the objective with my Vengers, and managed to smash the Death Jack out of the zone with my Exemplar Seneschal, and actually dominate this zone for a couple of points, plus the objective. So I'm on 3. I can actually dominate the next turn and win, unless he brings a lot of stuff over. So He couldn't do anything with his guys on the other flank, and Deathjack is extremely crippled, so it would be an easy matter of just smashing with Kreoss the following turn. But of course, Gatsby moves over and feats and piles his guys onto me, and wasn't 100% happy with his, charge lanes and his movements here and his actual positioning. But he had about 30 seconds left on his clock, and he managed to kill me with some decent dice rolls anyway. So extremely close game. Didn't really want to say anything about the charge lanes, and his measurements, in the heat of the situation, but maybe I should have. At either rate, it was a good game. He deserved to win. He played very well. But it was a very tough matchup, and couldn't quite pull it out of the bag. So next game, up against Legion again. I thought about going Epic Severius, but I went with Kreoss, a bit of a safer option against his two lists, which were Bethan and Absalonia. And in this case, looks pretty good. I should be able to crush his guys and score by dominating one of these objectives later on in the game. And what happens is that predictably he does kill a lot of Errants, but I feeded fairly early and wiped out almost all of the Hex Hunters, so that takes away his inventory. He's got less activations to clear out my guys, and it was just a matter of slowly picking off everybody until I had this big zone on the right clear. And after that, it was a matter of moving Kreoss over. In this picture, you can actually see that Kreoss has 5 focus plus inviolable resolve. So his armor 16 plus 5 is 21, plus inviolable resolve is 23. But what ended up happening, I couldn't believe this, is that Bethan moves out and does a gallows. It hits, and this is after Kiss of Lilith goes off, needing a 7 to hit. And then I get dragged 6 inches with gallows. That's the maximum distance. And then both Ravagors and the Bolt Thrower shoot at me and roll massive dice, and he kills me anyway. So, although I deserved to win that game and I had it stitched up, dice unfortunately turned on me and I lost that game as well. So, I was feeling really annoyed that happened. But that's War Machine sometimes. If your opponent just makes a desperate attempt and has an outside chance and rolls massive dice, and nothing you can do. So, interestingly enough, my fifth game, I think it was, maybe I can't remember what we're up to at this point, but I'm up against another guy playing Epic Kreoss, and this is a very new player. He's a young guy, and the difference between my list and his list is he's got Bastions, Incinerators, instead of the Vengers and extra Exemplars and Gravus. But I felt that my list was superior because I had the Exemplar Seneschals, and Gravus is very good in the situation. And unfortunately, he's got a forest in the middle of his deployment, and he split Kreoss behind it, so I felt like I had a much better leverage over the objectives and zones. And also I kept my my shooters, my Errants to the left out of range of his ones, so in his first turn he moves his ones forward, and he can't really do much with the shooting, and then I move up and shoot back at him. Blessed Crossbows ignores the inviolable resolve he had up on them, and I wiped out half of them, and that gave me a massive edge because the Errants with their self-sacrifice should really hold up his main flank, and the plan here was just to do a lot of damage on his right-hand flank and really emphasize that part of the board as where I wanted to be active. And that ended up getting me into a really, really good situation where I could go over there and dominate. I even had the Fire of Salvation right next to Kreoss, his version of Kreoss, and although he was crippled, I feated, and I could have actually swung at Kreoss doing a d6 damage with the power 18 several times, but it didn't even occur to me to do that. Chances are I probably wouldn't have got through his armor with the d6, but I was just so single-mindedly going for that control zone because I wanted enough control points to try and get into the finals, just in case the draw went really favourably for me. So I managed to do that, and ended up playing for third place after beating the previous guy, and the last matchup's a dream matchup. It's Epic Doomshaper, and I just had masses of infantry, and there's no way that he'd be able to clear out all my guys in time before I feeded and just killed all of his beasts, but actually made it a massive blunder here. As you can see, his Earthborn is within 2 inches of the forest. I've got Kreoss up the board and left a gap, and he actually ended up trampling the Earthborn right through my entire army, and then using Kreoss's weapon against him and just killing him flat out with wild aggression and a free charge. So that was just really dumb of me. I felt really disappointed that the tournament ended that way. Ended up coming 6th or 7th. I can't even remember where it actually was, but I was hoping for third that tournament. I didn't really feel like I could have beaten the two Crix players that were duking it out for first place. I came very close to winning my one game against the Crix guy, but the person that actually won the tournament was the other Crix player, and they both had epic Asphyxius, and one of them had epic Scar as the alternative, the other one had epic Didagra. I mean, what can you do? It was just absolutely extreme. Yeah, just looking back at the records, I came 6th place out of 20, should have been 3rd place out of 20. Netted a lot of control points and kill points, but just looking forward, going to be going to another tournament again this weekend, probably, not sure at this point, maybe Menoth, maybe Cato, definitely won't be Circle. So I'll do another report for that one, but for now, hope you guys enjoyed a little look at this, and what I'm going to do is follow up this particular video with a more of an overview video, just talking about how things are going with the hobby in general, and just covering points that I haven't really been able to make in this very quick review here. Thanks for watching, as always.